So we got to talk about life and things, right?
Like, fill your cup first. Always. I will never pretend to be perfect, and I'll tell you right now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm growing with you. Because I grew up thinking my parents knew everything, and now as an adult, I'm like, y'all didn't know shit.
Right.
Low key. Like, yeah, like
those dream dates are the best dates.
the whole energy thing. We die. This is still there. Dreams are the unintentional travel to the astral. What is real? And you really have to be careful what you're listening to when you go to sleep, because you're like.
But in your dreams, do you see pictures or not?
Some people don't have an inner monologue, and I have that for sure.
Yeah.
I have.
I'm gonna go like I've got multiple voices in my head, like everyone talking to me.
All right. So I would turn my camera around to show you my little setup. I have my vision board behind me and, you know, everything that inspires me, my crystals. But this little girl right here, look at her. I don't know if you can see her.
Is she the little girl?
The little Robin.
I see her. Is that you?
Yeah, she's me. And I just look at her and I'm like, I got you. We're doing this. I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing it. Yeah. So she's right here. She is in the podcast with us. Yeah.
Do you want to know something? I keep a picture of myself. It's a picture from high school. And every once in a while, I literally look at that picture and I talk to that Michael and I say, okay, here's all the things that you should have done. And I want to be able to talk to you so that you get them in your mind and they transfer it to the future to me, you know? And I do that like all the time. I don't know if it helps, but I feel better.
It does. This podcast I was listening to, this chick said that she talks to her inner child and she's like, hey, I got you. And she said that because we're living in parallel realities, like it's all sandwiched in, that she believes that as she is talking to her little inner child, that this inner child is still going to grow up in this reality and then grow into a better version of what a more healed, healthier version. And so as she heals this little girl, that life of whatever is going on in this, she's going to, you know, thrive in a way
I believe that. I do. I really, if even in the worst case, if nothing else, you're telling yourself how to be better, right? In other words, you're training your current self, you know?
Yeah. And then in the worst case, but then in, you know, just hypothetically, if it is that we are actually holding space for that little child, what an amazing life. You know, that will be for that child to grow and prosper, because I feel like there's things I could have changed and done different and wish that someone would have held space for me or my parents would have been this or that. But now I can be that for her. Yep. And who's she going to be now?
What would you tell if you look at that picture and you go like, okay, I'm implanting this memory. What would you tell your smaller self?
Oh man, girl, you worry too much about what people think. And you are amazing. I just feel like even still, so I still hold on to, I'm a people pleaser. And so I hold on to how everyone else feels instead of me, but then I'm left empty. So don't fill your cup first, always.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay to leave someone on the wayside to fill your cup up.
So when you see, you've got like a unique opportunity, right? Because you have your kids, right? And you can actually kind of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically channel what you're just saying about talking to past Robin into them. You know, do you ever think of it that way, or do you ever do that?
Yeah, and I heard something else on a different podcast. It's the age of the children that you have. So children are basically just this amazing opportunity to heal the versions of the age of the child that you were. So if you have friction with your child at that age, that's only because you have friction with yourself at that age.
Oh, wow.
Where you felt you weren't being listened to. And so it's a really cool way to portal in to different versions of yourself through these kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
So is that where
cool.
like the
It's
soccer
awesome.
moms come from? And they're like, wait, you're gonna be a soccer star, no matter what. Like, what are the things that
No,
you teach them?
yeah, I think like the sports dads, the dads that are like, get out there. I think
Yep.
it's because they always wanted to be out on that field and they never felt like they had it. And so they're trying to live their dreams through their kids. But I think as this each generation evolves, we're starting to become more awake to know that being present in this energy and knowing like, because back in the day, parents are like, oh, I'll spank you. You go upstairs, you stand in the corner, you listen to what I say. I'm the parent, I'm the grown up. Now it's like, now for me, with mine, I'm like, I will never pretend to be perfect. And I'll tell you right now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm growing with you. However, don't disrespect and we can work together. But let's talk about things. Well, my parents never said that.
Does it like
So it's an
scare you
evolution.
when you talk to your kids and you go like, I don't know, and then they are expecting you to
Um,
know?
no, it frees me. It's freeing because I grew up thinking my parents knew everything, and now as an adult, I'm like, y'all didn't know shit.
Right?
And now that I can tell my kids, like, we're doing this together. Let's just, I always say before I drop the kids off, not every day, but one kind deed for the day and don't take any shit.
Okay.
So be kind, but also don't be too kind to where you take someone's shit. Like, buck up, but do something nice.
I think that
My
whole doing
parents
something
just,
nice, like I think it takes people by storm. Like people don't expect somebody to just come into say a restaurant and you see them sitting at a
yeah.
table and you go, "Oh my god, I love your hair." You know? Or
Yeah.
or can I
I
get
love complimenting women. Oh, that's my favorite thing to do is compliment women because they're like, huh?
right?
They don't expect it.
No, they
Yeah.
don't. And it doesn't matter what the thing is. I think sometimes like you'll see people maybe they're insecure about something they're wearing or
Yeah.
they don't know what they're buying in the store. They don't know this. And you just say, "Oh my god, I wish I could do that as well as you just did it." And they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh my god, thank you." And it to me, I do it because it's almost like it makes me feel good. And so if I
Yeah.
can feel good and make
It's
the
a
world
big
feel
give and
good, that's
take.
it. Yeah. So I
I
do that.
love that too. I'll say, because I'm really big about hair. I wish I had like long, thick, like luscious locks. And when I see someone, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, can I have your hair?
Uh-huh.
And you see just one little kind, or, taking someone's shopping cart for them and putting just little things like that.
Yep.
They go further than monetary stuff. However, I will say that I waited tables and was in like the service industry forever.
Uh-huh.
And so I really got a feel of all different types of people. People that tip well, people that act like they're going to tip well, people that do tip well, people that drink too much. And now that I'm out of it, anytime I'm being waited on, I always over tip because I know these are some struggling young adults or adults. And I
Mm-hmm.
always over tip because you don't know what they're going through and what bill they have to pay and what that extra 20 would do. I love that too.
Yeah. There's a whole show we could do on tipping around the world and tipping in the
Yeah.
US and stuff like that. But I tend to try and give good tips, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
I also think that restaurant owners should actually pay their people, and there's a whole tipping
Oh
thing
my
there.
gosh, what is up with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how could any industry, I guess, other than
It's slave.
server,
It's modern day slave. Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely,
13 an hour. You
yeah,
have to beg for it's sales, for your tips.
yeah. I don't think it's a fair system. Now, in some restaurants, you can make bank. If you're at a
Oh
high end
yeah.
restaurant, I mean, you don't
Mhm.
hear those people complaining about tips.
I worked at the stadium, the Cowboy Stadium. I bartended at the stadium.
Did you really?
You still only get $2.13 an hour. You work for tip. I think maybe it's $4 an hour. But man, some days, I mean, I was 8 months pregnant working the George Strait concert. And
Uh-huh.
that was the biggest tip day. I came home with almost $1,000, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" But I
Right.
needed it, you know.
Uh,
But
Who doesn't?
you work for it. It's a
Yeah.
modern day. It's the same thing I told my therapist after my dogs when I was like, "You're just an emotional prostitute." I think that's the same thing as like these service industry. You're just like being nice for money.
I know.
I don't know.
So, okay, so as long as we're talking about tips, because I have had this question in my head forever. So, what is the difference between if I go into a low end restaurant and order a hamburger? Okay.
Yeah.
And let's say, for example, it costs, I don't know, $10 for the hamburger and a drink and some fries. Okay. And then I go into a high end restaurant
Yeah.
and I order a hamburger, a drink, and fries, and it comes out to $30. Okay.
Hmm.
We're tipping on percentage of food cost. Why are we tipping on percentage of the food cost instead of whether or
Yeah.
not you got good service or not?
That's a really good question because the service may even be better on the lower end
Right?
burger. The lower end, you're paying for the ambiance. So you're tipping on a percentage of the ambiance. And maybe that waiter was not even as present as the one who was like super friendly at this other place.
Yeah.
But I always overtip. I don't ever do. Yeah. But it isn't a fair system actually.
No.
And the fact that, all of these service industry workers, bartenders, waiters make $2 an hour is crazy
Yeah,
to me.
it is. So it's something that you're like when your boys came home and said, "Mom, this is what I did today to be nice."
I think one of them said that they held a door open for a teacher or something. I can't remember. It's few and far between because I don't do it as often as I used to when they were little. Now that they're
Mhm.
teenagers, it's like they're like, eh. But I think one day one of the kids said that somebody dropped his books and he helped him pick them up.
There you go.
So, and also on the flip side of that, the don't take no shit thing.
Hmm.
Um, my middle kiddo, I picked him up early, and the principal came out and he said, Maddox is actually in the principal's office. The teacher, so he was in class, and one of the teacher at the desk didn't care that he was on his phone. Everybody was just talking and doing their own thing. But another teacher came in and said, "Well, you're not supposed to be on your phone. Give me your phone." And Maddox was like, "No, I'm not giving you my phone. I'm not going to pay to get my phone back." And so at that point, I pulled up to pick him up. And so the principal met me and was like, Maddox was in the office. He wouldn't give up his phone. And, so I talked to Maddox. I go, "Why were you on your phone?" He's like, "Because everybody was on just not doing anything. This teacher came in. She's not even part of the class. And they wanted my phone. And I said, no." And so I was like, low key dabs. Like, yeah, like
Exactly.
he goes, "I knew you wouldn't be mad." And I said, "It's a time and a place. You have to read the room, read the energy." And
Yeah.
so the fact you didn't give it up, I'm like, I'm kind of proud of you.
Right.
Standing up for the system.
So, like, when do you know that like the kids should do that? Like, when do you say like it was good that you broke this rule? Right? You say,
Yeah.
how do you know?
Well, I always tell them the key to, so their dad is very like 3D matrix. You go to class, you don't miss, you do your homework, your grades. Well, I'm on the flip side of that because especially after COVID and I just kind of really got an awakening. I'm like, whoa. I went into a big Dolores Cannon thing about our purpose here is to manipulate the energy around us, to read the room. I said, I don't care about grades. I really don't. At the end of the day, you do what you do and you get what you get. What I love about the system, the school, is that you get to meet all different kinds of people and
Yeah.
know who to be cool with, who to stand up to, who to stand up for. And then, I love that kind of intertwining because that's what life is about. And so I just think that that's the most important thing for me to tell them is it's manipulation of energy. Read the room. Where do you hold back your energy? Where do you hold back your tongue? And where do you say, no, I'm not doing that? I think that's life. That's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know, I love talking to you because you and I talk about energy a lot, and about
Yeah.
things that happen. I've got dreams that I should tell you about, but we've got, yeah, I had the best girlfriend in the dream the other day. It was amazing. Um,
I want
and
to hear.
that's what she said. I know.
You're like, that was like, no, that's what she said.
No, I'm not talking about that. It was just like, this was a dream where it was all about relationship and connection, and we we got along just perfectly. And the way that we actually met in the dream was, there were three or four of these girls that were hanging out on a rooftop, and I don't know why I was on a rooftop. And all of a sudden, um, one of the girls approached me. I was like, "Yeah, not interested," just because I'm doing my own thing, right? Because introvert, that's what you do. You do
Yeah.
your own thing. And then
Yeah.
this, finally, I don't know how the last girl got in touch with me. I have no idea. And like all of a sudden, it was like instant bond, and I'm like, "Wow, this is fun." And since Michael in real life has not had a girlfriend for like who knows how many years, um, all of a sudden I was like, "Okay, this could be really cool." And I'm like, okay, let's just go with it. And so the whole rest of the dream, we were like exploring things, doing things,
Oh,
and
I love
being
those.
together. And it was like the perfect bond. And then all of a sudden, my alarm clock goes off. And
The worst.
yeah, however, I've set my alarm clock up now so that every time it rings, it doesn't buzz or yell at me anymore. I've got it playing the song Grateful by, oh my God, Call Me Stevie Ray and what's his name, Price. But and it wakes up, it says, I woke up feeling grateful,
Oh,
thankful.
I like that.
Everything that I prayed for came, so I'm feeling so grateful.
Ooh,
Every day, that's what I wake up to, and I listen to it for 2.5 minutes, and then I hit snooze, and it plays it again in 10 minutes.
that is so smart. I love that you have that because my alarm clock is that stupid one that's on the iPhone, and I'm like, screw you. But the
Yeah.
whole dream thing, there's a handful of dreams that I'll never forget. But one of them, and I even wrote it down and I wrote a poem about it. But I was in this, it was when I was with my soon to be ex. I just moved back in with him and I was sleeping, and I guess he had gotten up for work and taken a shower or something. But I was dreaming that I was in this dim lit bar at a booth by the main bar, and he was sitting across from me. It wasn't my ex, it was some man.
Hmm.
And I just remember like beautiful teeth, like just smiling. And I remember when he looked at me across this booth and he smiled, I remember my heart. And this is before I was into chakra system, so I didn't know it. But I just remember my dream when he smiled at me, like this part of my, and I was like, and I just felt so, oh my God, I'm in love with this person. And then I just remember thinking, God, I'm so in love. And then I woke up. And when I woke up, I started crying because I was like,
Yes.
wait, that's not real. I was so sad. And then I tried to go back to sleep to redream it, and I couldn't. But I wrote, I don't even know where it is, but it's in a journal. But the first part of the journal entry was, I dreamed about you last night. I know you're on the other side waiting for me. I know you're there.
Hmm.
And we're here on this weird journey in the matrix. But in that dream, I felt so strongly that this person, this energy, whatever it is, I was like, we're battling this like life journey individually, but like you're there. I've never felt that feeling before, that in that dream. It was like,
Right. It's like relationships and dreams. I don't know if your one is dreaming about dreaming, or if there's an actual,
is that
connection on
really
an astral
happening?
plane, or if it's
Yeah.
somebody that you're going to be in your future. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, those dream dates are the best dates.
Oh my gosh, it was the only time I really ever had. I have had one other one, but last night, the night before last, actually, I had a dream about my friend Crystal.
Hmm.
Again, I've had, we talked to the psychic in that podcast, and I asked her about Crystal, and then I had a dream about her shortly after. Well, 2 nights ago, I had a dream about her that we were with my Mexican side of the family, and we were having a party, and it was like Tejano themed. And I was trying to find Crystal, and she's the life of the party. It's like beautiful, just always bright and shiny. And I remember trying to find her because I was like, Crystal, we got to take a picture because we're going to all throw our sombrero at the same time. And like, it was just crazy. She was there in that dream. And I woke up and I'm like, what was she trying to tell me in there? You know, because I know she's the whole energy thing. We die. This is still there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she was there in my astral travel.
So, do you
But
believe in dreams more, or do you believe in astral? Is it the same thing, or are they two different things, you think?
I think that dreams are the unintentional travel to the astral, especially with people who aren't awake. I do know that people can actually meditate and go into astral, just like they can remote view.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with us who are like more of a sleepwalker before we're awake, when we dream, we're in the astral. Sometimes it's a scary astral, but we're there,
You
you
know,
know?
CIA did a whole thing on it, right? On astral and remote viewing. Um,
The hemisync. Yeah.
yeah,
They have a whole, it's crazy.
yeah. If I could pick another superpower besides my being able to forget movies, um, astral would be cool.
That's
Like
so funny. You forget movies.
I forget movies as if I've never seen them before. Um, I actually because when I eat dinner or lunch or anything, I sit at my
Yeah.
counter, and so I turn on my little cell phone and prop it up. And right now, because I want something that I don't have to really pay attention to, but I like, I'm
Mhm.
watching Justice League
Yeah.
cartoon.
The
And
cartoon.
yeah, the cartoon, like where everyone has V bodies that are like, like that
Yeah.
perfect V body, and like, wow, Superman's got it going on. Wonder Woman, everybody's like perfect, right? And it's annoying me
Yeah.
right now because every episode starts out with somebody getting their butt kicked, and they're like tearing down buildings and they're beating up people with steel pipes, and nobody bleeds, which is like pretty awesome.
Nobody
And
bleeds. Oh my
nobody
gosh.
bleeds,
Of
nobody
course you would
dies.
notice that. You're like, where is the blood in this?
Yeah,
Are you
no,
even real?
yeah,
What is real?
I don't know. And it amazes me that this happens. So I but I figured out that I have seen this before because all of a sudden I'll go like, oh, I've seen that, but I don't remember why I've seen it because I can't remember actually having watched the show before.
It's your whole like real life, actual living deja vu. Like it's
Yeah,
because you're present in the moment. You go on autopilot,
I
and then
think
you catch
so.
glimpses of it. Yeah.
I really do think so because there are things that will happen, and I know I did them, but I'm not sure that I did them. Yeah, and you know when it gets to be really dangerous, it's when you don't remember if you took your medicine or not. It's like, did I take blood pressure
Oh, I
medicine?
know.
It's like I don't know. So
I
and
think that's why the older people have the pill boxes, like
right,
Monday, Tuesday, Monday 1, Monday 2,
yeah,
because you can't remember.
I think so. Oh my god.
People like, I'll just stay in my own hula hoop here. People like me, like my brain is never off. I'm always thinking, I'm overthinking, and my gears are turning. Like I've got 12 funnels all the time. And because my brain is always so busy, that their theory was that the reason people get Alzheimer's and dementia is because, you know, a rotor can only turn so many times before, like, it's just, and so it gives your body an opportunity to just dial down. Okay, now it's time to just not. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's when dementia happens. Like, your brain is gonna get to rest before you are going to rest this meat suit and go on to your astral travel, ether, spirit. Yeah.
No, you did not talk to me about that, but you did just like spark a memory. I listened to Hospice Nurse Julie on TikTok. Do you ever have you
Oh,
seen her?
I need to add her.
Oh
No,
my god. She like
I'm gonna
she's in
add her.
hospice and she talks to people about death and dying, and I just listened to her, and then what was it? I forget the actual terms that she used, but basically she talks about people
There she
seeing
is.
their
I'll add her.
pets and relatives before they die and being happy about it. And she knows when they're going to die, not to the minute or anything like this, but she says she sees all the signs of when somebody is letting go and them getting peaceful because they
Is
are,
it because they're like, my husband's here, or my daughter, my
yeah,
dog?
the death stare. That's what they call
Wow.
it, death stare, which is not a beautiful
Aw.
name, but it's like people just looking off and it's like, oh, things are okay. And they're waiting for me. And she
Aw.
describes it, and I'm like, wow, I hope that's exactly how I go, as opposed to like, over the cliff in the car. Um,
Seriously, which some of the dreams I've had are like that. But, here in this realm or whatever the heck we're in, we think death is scary. It's awful, especially for the ones left behind. We're the left behind group. We're
yeah.
like mourning. We're mourning, which is another. Let's get into another topic, another day of like words and good morning. Why do we say good morning when we're mourning a death? Why do we mourn the morning and mourning a death? Anyway, so when we're mourning and this person's already like just checked out, like I'm free, fuck this place,
Yeah.
and we're like, oh. But it's such a beautiful. It should be how they do in New Orleans, where it's a celebration of life. It's a parade where it shouldn't be. It's probably sad because maybe subconsciously, unconsciously, we know they're free and we're not. We're like stuck here.
I want to actually go with the whole party thing, right? Like it is a
I do
party and
too.
we want to go. And I think the only reason that we as humans don't go with, or most of us anyway, don't go with the whole party attitude is because we don't know what's coming afterwards. So,
The fear. Where did
right.
they go? What happens to them? What happens to me? It
What
kind
happens
of
to
like,
us? Exactly.
yeah, like who's next? I always think like this is maybe a little bit morbid, but I always think who's next, and because I have a big family, like my cousins, excuse me,
Right.
but I always think who's next? Who's next? Or even at a macro scale, when a celebrity dies, I'm like, I wonder who's next.
Yeah.
Like after this, who's the next one?
There's
Is that weird?
no, not at all, because someone told me about, and I can't remember where this comes from. It's a famous author or song or poem or whatever. But basically, you look at your parents as they're the blockage, they're the to the grave. In other words, for the most part, it's not your turn until they die. It's not their turn until their parents die. So if you still have grandparents, it's like, yep, I got time. But as soon as they drop off and next it's your parents, and then you lose one, then you lose the second one. And it's like, crap, there's nobody in front of me now. I'm the
Yeah,
next
like I'm
one.
up on the roller coaster. I'm the one at the front of the roller coaster.
Right? You're at the front. And so like your kids, they're in order. It's like youngest, middle, largest, or oldest.
Mhm.
And it's like, yep, all those people are ahead of me. So I've got
I
time.
had this crazy dream again about Crystal. It was shortly after she died, and she died by a drunk driver, and it was traumatic. But the dream was that her and I were in a car together, and I couldn't. We were driving fast, and the car wouldn't stop, and like I couldn't press on the brakes. It wasn't working, and we hit a brick wall, and then we both died on impact. And when we died, we shot up like our spirits. I felt myself go shoo, shooting up into whatever this is, the ethers, the sky. And I remember going at lightning speed. And I remember thinking while I was shooting up with her, I'm going to get to see my grandma, which she's not dead yet. My grandma's still alive. But it was weird how I felt all of that in my dream, you know?
Oh, wow. Okay. I will tell you that I have never died in a dream. Like, no, never. So there's some
I
people
was
that
the
believe
only,
if you die in a dream, you're going to die in real life. Like maybe you're not waking up.
yeah.
But yeah, I've never died in a dream. I've been scared out of my mind in a dream. I've been chased by demons, and I've also seen God and been able to be in multiple places at once in a dream, which was like the best dream I've ever had. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't imagine. What's the best dream
I
you've
never
ever had?
thought, it's so weird that you just said that because when people say I've never died in a dream, I would be like, me either. But now I guess in that dream I did die. I was like, yeah, I guess I have. And I was still alive though, which was weird. Maybe that's why I didn't think I died, but I did. I went on impact and then shot up. It was crazy. Yeah. Weird.
I
Life
think
is weird.
that I in my dreams, like sometimes I try and direct them. I don't know if you ever try and do that and say, okay, in this dream, this is what I
No,
want to do and be. I always
I
want to
can't
come up.
ever do that.
I try. Sometimes it works, but you know what? Most of the time, any dreams that are directed, I find come because I
Mhm.
watched a TV or I read a book or I saw something, and then my dream is based on that thing. It's
Yeah.
usually not a traumatic thing that happened in my life. It's just a thing that I saw right before I went to sleep.
Or have you ever? So I have this sleep band with ears, like earbuds in the
I
sleep
want to get
band.
that. You sent me the link. Oh my
Yeah.
God. I so need it.
So I listen to stuff, and sometimes I mean, you really have to be careful what you're listening to when you go to sleep because you're like, like because sometimes I'll listen to something on YouTube and it's like calming, and then you don't know what the next thing's what your algorithm's gonna pop up next, and I'm like, I'm in a war zone in World War II, and who is this man?
Yeah.
but but I've heard that you have to be really careful about traveling into the astral without protecting your energetic boundary because you can come upon entities and stuff out
I've
there in the
heard
astral.
that. I've heard that. And
Hmm.
like, okay, so I used to have a friend when I was in college, and we tried to like, okay, we're gonna do the astral thing, and I'll meet you on the steps of the library. And
Yeah,
okay, so now that
you
I
can do
know that
it.
you're into it, we're gonna try that. Like, we'll pick a
Yeah, I
time. It's
think
like,
it's
okay,
so
I'm gonna
cool.
try it. You try it. Meet you at, Roxy's or something like that.
Well, and that's the whole thing with remote viewing. So a lot of the CIA, they use people who can actually remote view, and that's how it all is. Is like you can actually travel in astrally. You can travel in to
I guess.
see what's going on as like a spy measure.
I
It's
have
crazy.
the stuff you sent me. I know I looked at part of it. Remember, superpower. Um, and I find that fascinating. And it's
Yeah.
one of the things I would love to be able to do. But now here's a question for you. And you and I both have another superpower. At least I consider it
What is
that.
that?
Aphantasia. Where,
Aphantasia. Yeah.
and for everyone who doesn't know, that is like people who have aphantasia don't imagine and see in color. Like you and I see nothing.
So it's like close your eyes
Yeah.
and think of an apple. Can you see that apple behind your eyelids?
No.
Not a thought. Do you see it?
No.
And some people see it. I actually talked to my therapist about that yesterday.
What did your
And he
therapist say?
said he sees, I said, because I was trying to describe something and, I use analogies because I have aphantasia. And I
Yeah.
said, so wait, before I go any further, the whole aphantasia, the reason I use analogies. And I said, he goes, I don't know what that is. And I go, close your eyes. When I
Yeah.
say an apple, what do you see? And he goes, I see a Fuji apple. And I mean, he saw it in his
Okay.
mind. And I go, I don't see anything.
That
It's
is
black.
unbelievable to me.
Nothing.
I,
Yeah.
I the there are people
Golly.
I've
I'm like,
talked to, and they're like, describe it, and to me, I just have to make up the description and like try and picture it, but there's
you
nothing
use
there.
your cognitive thinking. That's what aphantasians do. You use your cognitive. You know it. You know the thought of it, but you don't see it.
No, no. But in your dreams, do
Yeah.
you see pictures or not?
Absolutely. So
And are they in color
that's
or
what
black and white?
baffles me.
Are your dreams in color or
Color.
black and white? Me too.
Color vivid, I'm there. And so it's crazy to me to think that people actually just close their eyes and think of something and they see in their mind as a dream.
Yeah. Uh, I can't even imagine what that's
Yeah.
like. When I close my eyes right now, all I see is the picture of the screen I'm looking at, and I see you. And eventually that fades, and then it's just,
Oh, you even see that?
well, it's the
You
light
see
in
that?
my eyes.
The
You know
only
what I
time I
mean?
can ever see, how they're like
Like,
stare at the dot for a while, and I see the image where a dot I was staring at. You know those the visualization games where it's like stare at this dot for so long and close
right.
your eyes, and then you can see like an outline of a girl or
Yes.
Jesus or something.
But you know
That's the
what?
only time I see anything. Like if I close my eyes right now,
Well, no, it's not
no,
that I see
nothing.
anything. It's just that, people with eyesight have persistence of vision. It's the reason that we can watch movies, right? Because between the one frame and the next frame, our eyes still have a little image on the back of the retina for the previous frame. So if you like stare at your hand, it'll be in your head for just a second, and then you can close your eyes. It's still there, open, and it's gone.
All I see is like a square outline of my laptop, but it's like, that's it. I don't see you. That's cool that you can even see that.
Oh, I don't see in color. I just see the after image. It's like,
It's so crazy.
what is it? Yeah, it goes away like that. Okay.
I don't even see that. It's crazy. So it's like there are these different, there's a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
And then I found out because of aphantasia that some people don't have an inner monologue. And I have that for sure.
Yeah.
I have. That one doesn't shut up.
Oh, do you talk to yourself in your inner monologue, or does it talk to you?
Yeah, and I talk to myself outside of my inner monologue. Like I'll have a whole conversation with her outside. Yeah, but
so like when you're
some
reading
people that have aphantasia.
When you're reading a book, what voices do you hear when you're just like reading to yourself?
Mine.
So you don't hear character voices?
No, but what's interesting
I don't either, by the way.
When I found out about aphantasia, my best friend, she can like create a whole thing as she's going to sleep, stacking rocks. We also started talking about inner monologues. It's just me in my head. Uh-huh. There's no other people in there. She's got like 10 different versions of her. And I'm like, this must be why back in the day they just committed people to psych wards, because they had different versions on the spectrum of what they thought, the inner monologue, the aphantasia, and they were like, this bitch is crazy. No, there's just different. She says that the 10 versions of her will be like having a whole conversation. I'm like, what?
There's no way.
It's just me. Is really? It you in there?
Yeah, when I read books, it's like I want to hear an elf talk in an elf voice, but it's just me just talking. I got nothing. Hold on. What do I hear? Let's see. I'm going to read the screen. Okay. No, it's just me.
Well, now, because you said that, I'm making myself in my mind talking a British accent, but it's just me in there.
Yeah. It doesn't
right?
matter. That's why I love audiobooks, right? Because one, I hate reading because my eyes hurt because I can't see because I'm basically legally blind. But I love readers that can do all the different voices. And I don't like books where they have multiple actors doing voices. I like one reader doing multiple voices, not actual readers. Mm.
Yeah, you said something to me the other day when I was reading one of my blogs that I guess maybe, I don't know, I read with inflection and I have like,
you do,
I make it a thing, but I think it's just because maybe it is the aphantasia thing. I want people to experience the whole event. Or maybe I'm just dramatic.
Now, when you actually read, you're reading, like I read your stuff and I can kind of hear, ooh, I do hear your voice when I read your stuff, but that's because I know what you sound like.
Ooh, yeah.
But when you read it, I'm like, oh, that's what it's supposed to sound like.
That's so interesting that you said that, because when I read text messages from people, I hear it in their voice. It makes me feel like a beautiful mind. I'm like, does any character in my life actually exist, or I'm just in a like pod and a straight jacket, like thinking I'm doing this live?
Oh my God. No.
I know. See, welcome to my world.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me in. I really appreciate it now that I'm crazy. There we go.